welcome to the deep dive.
What?
This time of year, we're right in the middle of December. It is just such a visual feast.
It really is.
Every street corner is twinkling. Every social media feed is, a study in these cozy, perfectly executed moments. But if you're the person running that whole system behind the curtain,
Right.
there's often this deep, profound disconnect between the sparkle the world sees and the actual sheer effort it takes to produce it.
That disconnect is exactly why we had to do this deep dive. We're looking at this wonderful blog post by Carrie Mazzotti. She's a lifestyle encourager, a confidence catalyst, and a sparkle coach for women ready to shine.
I love that title.
Me too. And her piece is called When You're Carrying More Than You're Saying. And our mission really is to just unpack that, to give you validation and honestly permission to put some of that weight down.
Permission. I think that's the key word. Because the central conflict Carrie identifies is, well, it's everywhere. You see the external moments, matching pajamas, the beautiful table.
Yeah, the perfect picture.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But she focuses entirely on the invisible weight that's carried so quietly behind it all. It's not the photo, it's the entire emotional operating system running the server.
Yeah.
And that system is just constantly overloaded.
And we tend to minimize that weight, don't we? Carrie is so insistent that this burden it's profound. We dismiss it as just being busy or, it's just the schedule, but it's so much deeper than an Amazon cart.
So much deeper.
It's a psycho-emotional burden we internalize because, well, culturally we're told we should be thriving right now. Acknowledging that this weight is real is the first step.
Okay, so let's unpack this right away. What is this invisible load actually made of? Carrie Mazzotti makes this point that the holiday load isn't just physical.
Right.
And the physical labor, the wrapping, the driving, the cooking, that's exhausting, sure, but at least it's tangible.
Exactly. If you can cross it off a list, it's physical. Carrie is talking about the labor that, exists solely in your mind, the emotional calculus that never, ever gets a check mark.
Oh, absolutely.
She details this unseen emotional labor, and I think this is the section where most people reading her blog will just gasp in recognition.
Yes. She lists things like remembering what makes each individual person feel special. That's not just buying a gift.
No, it's anticipating their emotional reaction, remembering the history of why that tradition matters to them, and then doing it 20 times over for 20 different people.
It's knowing that two family members need to be seated far apart to avoid an argument.
Yes. Or that you need to make a special side dish for someone with a restriction they won't mention. That mental pre-management of future joy and conflict is just, it's so draining.
And Carrie adds that other layer, having to smile when, frankly, your heart just feels tired.
Yeah.
We're constantly managing the emotional temperature of the room, setting aside our own distress to make sure the mood stays light. She even mentions managing unexpected grief that bubbles up.
And what's so fascinating is that the mental load, the planning, the anticipating, the monitoring, is often way more draining than actually doing the task. It's like running dozens of apps in the background of your brain. That constant vigilance, holding space for everyone else's needs but your own. That's what leads to burnout. And Carrie Mazzotti validates this so directly. She just says, what you're carrying is valid.
And that validation is crucial because we tie all this labor to love. We think, I do this because I love them, so if we feel tired, we must be loving them wrong.
Than us. Yeah.
Right. But Carrie makes it clear. Doing this with love doesn't magically erase the need for rest. You can fiercely love your people and still be utterly spent.
And if we connect this to the bigger picture, Carrie is she's hitting on a systemic pressure point. This expectation to be the emotional bedrock, the memory keeper, the aesthetic curator, it falls disproportionately on so many women.
It's like the second shift, but for your soul.
Exactly. You're expected to maintain emotional wellness for everyone. Often, while you're just running on fumes yourself, she's encouraging us to stop minimizing that.
Which brings us perfectly to the next section. Validation. This is where she gives us permission to just stop performing.
Yes.
And the most liberating statement for me was, it's okay if you're not feeling festive. That pressure to perform joy is so much more exhausting than just being present.
Oh, that line, maybe you're not behind, maybe you're just human. That's an absolute game changer. It just dismantles that internal voice screaming, I must be failing because I don't feel the magic.
It really does. She talks about all the unexpected emotions the season stirs up. It's not just stress. It's the quiet ache of missing someone at the dinner table.
Or that sudden grief that hits you in a moment that's supposed to be happy. This time of year is an emotional amplifier. It just brings everything to the surface.
And that leads to her most powerful line, "You're feeling, and feeling is not failure."
Ah, that's it right there.
It just shifts the whole focus from external output, the perfect party, to internal honesty. Your emotional response, whether it's joy or exhaustion, it's just data, not a moral flaw.
Exactly.
Speaking of internal honesty, that line Carrie uses about the mental load of remembering all the tiny details that really hit home for me.
Oh.
Yeah, it reminded me of this feeling I have every single year, especially around the holidays. This feeling that my brain is a switchboard, just constantly patching through other people's needs.
I know that feeling.
I remember one year, I was coordinating this complicated gift swap across 3 states. I knew everyone's allergies, who was bringing what dish. I was so focused on managing everyone else's equilibrium that I realized 2 days before Christmas, I hadn't even checked my own bank account or eaten a real meal in, like, 48 hours.
Wow.
That unacknowledged burden of knowing and holding all the invisible strings, that's what Carrie's giving us language for.
Thank you for sharing that. That vulnerability is what she's encouraging. And for that feeling when you're fractured and overwhelmed, Carrie offers this spiritual grounding. She references Psalm 34.18.
The Lord is close to the brokenhearted and saves those who are crushed in spirit.
Exactly. I loved how she tied this into faith and confidence.
Me too. It reframes the entire goal of the season. The message is just radical grace. It's not about your perfection or your Pinterest board. She emphasizes that the divine seeks you right in the middle of the mess.
It's such a powerful affirmation that your value is inherent. It's not earned through your ability to host a perfect party.
Which moves us right into the practical application of that grace section 3. The powerful gift of permission. The freedom of not having to pretend it's all fine it's radical. But the one line that fights all our conditioning is, you don't have to earn your rest.
Oof. That one hits hard. It directly challenges our whole hustle culture, especially this time of year. We're conditioned to see rest as a reward we get after we've done everything. Carrie is saying, no, rest is a non-negotiable input, not some potential output. But it's so hard to accept that permission.
Why is it so hard? It feels like we're inviting disappointment or chaos. We think lowering the bar means letting people down.
Well, it's because we're often the architects of our own guilt. If you're the primary keeper of the emotional temperature, stepping back feels like abandoning your post.
That's so true.
Carrie challenges us to see that saying no isn't a failure of love. It's an act of self-preservation that lets you show up more fully later, even if it's less perfectly.
Let's list those permissions she gives. Permission to say no, which is a full sentence, right?
It is. No explanation needed. Permission to step back and just observe instead of constantly organizing.
And permission to not make every single moment magical for everyone else.
Yeah.
Sometimes good enough is perfect.
And this is the big one. Permission to lower the bar you're holding yourself to. That means actively choosing the easy path sometimes. Choosing paper plates.
A quiet movie night instead of a huge tradition. Yes. It's about choosing your internal well-being over the external appearance.
And it all leads to her final reflective question. What might peace look like for you?
I love this because it forces you to define success by your own internal relief, not by some Instagram metric. It makes peace an actionable thing.
And the examples she gives are so small, so accessible. 5 minutes of quiet before the world wakes up.
Saying no to one event without that crushing guilt that usually follows.
Or just telling a friend the simple truth, I'm tired, instead of the usual high-energy update.
My favorite, and it's such a quiet little rebellion, is lighting a candle while the dishes wait.
Yes.
That is the moment where you say, my own internal peace is more important than the state of my kitchen right now.
It perfectly sums up her final encouragement. Your presence, your actual tired, messy, real presence, matters so much more than any perfect moment you create. The season is sacred because you are showing up for it.
The knowledge we gained here isn't just that we're not alone in this. It's that we've been handed the permission slip to intentionally put some of this weight down. And that is so empowering.
That's the final summation. Carrie Masadi acknowledges you're navigating a season of both immense joy and often deep loss. And she just reiterates that simple truth. You are doing your best, and your best is enough.
So let's leave you with the 3 final affirmations from her blog, just to hold on to. You're not too much,
You're not
and
behind.
you're not alone.
Mm.
You can read the full blog and discover more of Carrie's favorites and Sparkle tools at thesparklelounge.com.